Lexington is a small city in central North Carolina, known for its furniture and textile industries and fine barbecue. Downtown has seen many changes recently. The old courthouse is now a history museum, and a few blocks away, the movie theater has been refurbished as a civic center. But one Main Street establishment has not changed in many decades. This photography studio has operated at the same address and under the same management since 1926. H. Lee Waters has documented the changing faces of generations in his community and beyond. His family came to Lexington when his father worked for the Erlanger cotton mill, and Waters became interested in photography when he was quite young. After high school, he went into business for himself, and he is still in business after more than 60 years. This is the way Main Street looked when Waters started out. The studio entrance is the second door from the corner. He claims that his longevity is partly due to the fact that climbing the 28 stairs to his studio is good exercise. His work has run the gamut of commercial photography, weddings, school groups, candids. He now specializes in restoration. He's a skilled portrait photographer and has used the same multi-format studio camera for more than 50 years. He enjoys his work, and his customers know to expect fine craftsmanship. But not all of the pictures he has made have been still pictures. For a period of 6 years, H. Lee Waters was the cameraman, and if he visited your town, you might be in the movies.
How do you do, folks? H. Lee Waters, Lexington, North Carolina, maker of hometown movies. We call it movies of local people.
From 1936 to 1942, Waters worked as an independent, itinerant filmmaker. Traveling in this car to 118 communities in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee, he showed his 16mm films in the downtown movie theaters as an added attraction.
Their equipment was 35mm. That's standard size that are made in Hollywood, and that was the size of their projectors. They did not have 16mm, and so I'd visit a town after I'd made the movies and bring my own equipment with me, a Bell & Howell ArcLight projector, and my 16mm movie film picture was covered the entire screen at the theater, just the same as their 35.
He gave a good show, but what made him do it? Why did he have to leave the studio in Lexington to drum up more business on the road?
In the year 1936, when I started making movies of local people, we were in the midst of a depression. And most middle-aged people don't know what we mean by depression, but it really was a depression. People didn't have a salary to justify them spending very much money for any type of entertainment. And the movie theaters were operating then quite a few years before we had television. But it came to my mind that they'd like to see themselves on the screen in the movie, along with movie stars out of Hollywood.
The movie industry did well during the Depression, when tickets cost no more than a dime or a quarter. Many Americans went to the movies several times a week, and the downtown theater was the social center of the community. These Pittsboro residents got to see themselves, some in a split screen, in a film first shown at the Chatham Theater on November the 23rd, 1939. Working without precedent, he developed a unique style of documentary filmmaking, and while showing every film that he made, he was getting the audience's reaction, and what they liked determined what he would shoot.
At the time we started, we thought of this, making babies only, but after we made one show of babies, we decided that everybody would like to be in the movies. So we just made them up and down the streets, at the schools and the factories, and every place, and athletic events. And I'd say over 95 or 98% of people had never seen themselves on any type of a movie screen. And so I decided I'd take advantage of that and start making movies for theaters, and would work on a percentage basis, and I'd make also commercials for the merchants that wanted to advertise on that film. I'd contact the merchants, as I had the privilege of doing, and I contract with the theater. My price range would range from $5 up to $8 and $10, maybe $20 sometimes. And the merchants was well pleased.
The advertisements cover an amazing variety of businesses, retail and manufacturing, goods and services. Some of them are quite involved and show everything from the sales pitch at the front counter to work behind the scenes. Some sequences are small industrial documentaries, and it is clear that the merchants were enthusiastic about their exposure. The advertisements are an important part of his films, valuable to historians today. Here's one sequence exactly as it was shot and edited. He started shooting some of his footage in color with Kodachrome in 1938. His first films were made with an inexpensive home movie camera, but soon Waters invested in a full-feature, top-of-the-line model, Cine Kodak Special, with a 2-lens turret.
And just mash a button, you're making a picture.
But of course he was doing more than just mashing the button to make his pictures. His professional camera manner and warm personality allowed intimacy with his subjects. Working on a tripod or handheld, his camera movements are sometimes exquisitely expressive. Ah, the games people play. At this football game, he uses the regular lens to cover the entire field of action, and then switches to the telephoto lens for tighter coverage. He knew how to approach his subjects, and he knew that it was important to let his subjects approach him as well. It was a cooperative effort, and not uncommon for people to make extraordinary contributions to the filmmaking experience. Reverse motion and slow motion, fast motion, split screens, vignettes, dissolves. Mr. Waters knew some camera tricks. And the locals would often respond with a few tricks of their own. To get reverse motion, seen here, he would shoot with the camera upside down. Then the shot would be cut out, turned tail to head, and spliced back into the reel. On the screen, the action would be backwards.
Most all the towns that I'd visit, I'd have some of these trick shots. It's a little different, you see. And especially they see themselves in fast motion going down the street as if they were on roller skates, making 1 frame a second instead of 16. Well, if you make 16 frames a second, it'd be normal speed, but you can make just 1 frame a second and speed it up 16 times.
The trick photography was fun, but the main draw was always see yourself as others see you. Today the films are a history in motion pictures, not a history recreated in Hollywood, but life 50 years ago, brought to life again today. This film was first shown November the 20th, 1939, at the Dixie Theater in Scotland Neck, a town in eastern North Carolina. These sequences are shown as Mr. Waters shot them. You see everyone's reaction to the camera. Some people like it, some people are shy. Some pose, and others seem unaware of the camera. The footage is silent, but if you watch this film in Scotland Neck, there are many people who can supply a soundtrack. That's the amazing thing. These films have such a strong connection to the people. It's their family and their community, their town, their past, their movie. The subject is the audience, and the audience is the subject. H. Lee Waters did more than 200 shows of movies of local people, shooting over 100 hours of motion picture film. In North Carolina, he filmed the communities of Albemarle, Angier, Apex, Asheboro, Belmont, Benson, Bessemer City, Boone, Burlington, Chapel Hill, Charlotte, Cherryville, China Grove, Clayton, Cliffside, Concord, Conover, Coolamy, Cramerton, Denton, Draper, Durham, Elkin, Irwin, Forest City, Fuquay Springs, Gastonia, Gibsonville, Graham, Granite Falls, Greensboro, Hall River, Henderson, Hickory, Hillsboro, Jackson, Kannapolis, Kernersville, Kings Mountain, Leakesville, Lenoir, Lexington, Liberty, Lillington, Lewisburg, Lumberton, Madison, Mayodan, Mebane, Mocksville, Monroe, Mooresville, Mount Airy, Mount Gilead, Mount Holly, Nashville, Newton, North Wilkesboro, Norwood, Oxford, Pilot Mountain, Pineville, Pittsboro, Rayford, Red Springs, Rockingham, Rockwell, Roxboro, Rutherfordton, Salisbury, Sanford, Scotland Neck, Selma, Shelby, Siler City, Smithfield, Spencer, Spindale, Spray, Statesville, Swannanoa, Taylorsville, Thomasville, Troy, Valdez, Wadesboro, Wake Forest, Warrenton, Winston-Salem. In South Carolina, Blacksburg, Bishopville, Camden, Cheraw, Chester, Chesterfield, Fort Mill, Fountain Inn, Gaffney, Great Falls, Hartsville, Lancaster, Lockhart, Rock Hill, Timmonsville, Whitmire, Winnsboro, Woodruff, York. In Virginia, Bassett, Damascus, Dant, Danville, Fielddale, Lebanon, Martinsville, Saltville, Wytheville, and Mountain City, Tennessee. The challenge facing these communities today, and the film community at large, is restoration. The original plastic becomes brittle, and the films wear with use. Videotape is not an archival medium, but photographic negatives made from the originals today should be good for another 100 years or more. The historical value of these images will grow as time passes, and the duplication and exhibition of the films now is of great importance to the people of all the towns. An archive of Mr. Waters' films has been started at Perkins Library at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. The cooperation of many public libraries, community colleges, county historical societies, chambers of commerce, and other organizations and individuals is important to the success of the archive. The movies have been scattered throughout the region. By gathering them under one roof, caring for them properly, and duplicating and exhibiting them, the movies can be enjoyed by this and future generations. In July of 1942, Movies of Local People came to an end. During the years he was on the road, Waters traveled during the week and was at home on the weekends. His wife ran the studio in Lexington. With an improving economy, business was picking up, and a unique chapter of American film came to a close.
The Depression is just over then, you see. There wasn't any idea of going out and hunting for business. We had all the business we could take care of right here at the studio. That is after the war started, you see. And the servicemen would have their pictures taken before they left for service. And then the families would have pictures made of themselves to send to him after he's in service. And so my wife and myself and 2 or 3 others had our hands full all the time. And it wasn't any point in me being on the road trying to find business when I had all I could take care of at home.
H. Lee Waters was the consummate independent filmmaker. Production, distribution, and exhibition all in one man. See yourself in the movies. It was a great idea.
And I might add that most places wanted me to return again as soon as I could.
We wish you many happy returns, Mr. Waters. And from all of us, thanks for the movies.
We mentioned this earlier, and over the past 5 or 6 years, North Carolina has emerged as a major movie-making state. Our government even has its own office and tries to help and attract filmmakers. But it's important to put our film history into perspective. Tar Heel Movies go back a lot longer than you might think. Here's Bill Leslie with The Spirit of Carolina.
I've shown the Lost Colony film to more than 1,000 people in North Carolina in the last year.
Tom Whiteside is a film historian. He digs around for old forgotten films and shows them to people. This one here on the Lost Colony was shot in 1921 at Manteo. It's one of the oldest motion pictures ever made in North Carolina.
All of the actors and all of the set construction, the costumes were all done by local volunteers on Roanoke Island. And it just has an amateur feel to it that's nice.
One of Tom Whiteside's big projects now is to find more than 100 films of North Carolina towns shot in the 1930s and 40s by H. Lee Waters, a commercial photographer. This movie here is on the town of Pittsburgh.
I would much rather watch Mr. Waters films than standard Hollywood fare. Nobody made this up. This is documentary photography, straight photography.
Tom likes to show these old movies in towns where they were filmed. He says it's fun to hear the people's reactions.
There's me, there's my brother, there's old man Williams, ran the grocery store. There's Miss Johnson, I hated her in 6th grade. You know.
So far, Tom has located about half of these old town movies. By the time his search is over, he hopes North Carolina will have its own film museum.
And the important part of such a museum would not just be preservation, but promotion. These objects don't mean a thing unless you put them on the projector and share them with people. You know, you gotta show them.
So pop the popcorn and roll the film. It's time to watch Uncle Harry, the movie star. With The Spirit of Carolina, I'm Bill Leslie in Halifax County.
Well, Tom Whiteside is a visiting artist at Halifax Community College in Weldon. He would like to hear from you if you have information on one of those old town movies. And you can write to him at the Halifax Community College, Post Office Drawer 809, Weldon, and the zip code is 27890.